Three, two, one. Launch to success with Vera V.
Whatever it is that you're doing right now, drop it. Unless you're holding a child or you're driving your car. In that case, keep going. But hear me out because you need to hear this. Stop treating right now as a transition into something better. You will not be happier when you're richer and traveling the world, or when you have abs, or when you're in your dream relationship if you don't find happiness with where you are right now. Not with that kind of mindset. You'll find out why and how to transform your mindset in this podcast episode. In other words, what a hook. Oh. Hopefully you're shaking and quaking. That joke took me 2 months to come up with and really solidify. But welcome to my podcast, Launch to Success, where we're becoming our most successful selves together. I'm your host, Vera V. I'm a full-time content creator, social media coach, and a self-improvement lover. Self-improvement for lifer. In fact, it is the most consistent thing in my life. It always has been. This episode is all about transforming our mindset. And listen until the end to discover practical tools and strategy to be happy with wherever you are in your life. So before we go any further into the episode, a big part of this episode is my life updates because I feel like there's been a lot happening. And my last podcast episode was 2 weeks ago. And to be quite frank with you, because I do like being transparent, I did not want to record this podcast episode. I love sitting down with you and like chatting, but I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it feels like I'm talking to a wall. So if you could please scroll down, like enter the Q&A, participate in the polls, that really helps. And thank you so much for all those of us who do this. But the true reality why I did not want to record this podcast episode is because I was procrastinating. I feel like once you're out of a routine, whether that be recording a podcast or doing something else, it's really hard to get back into it. And for me, a podcast is a very constant thing in my life. Because new episodes come out every Wednesday at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So obviously when I'm posting and when I'm on that grind, I'm recording the podcast episodes, like it feels a lot smoother, right? But also another thing with the podcast is I've been wanting to get guests together. So I've reached out to a couple of guests. We're going to be recording soon and it's really exciting. But finding guests for a podcast is harder than I thought. I'm not going to lie. Like making sure that the person responds and like that whole process. The reason why my brain is a little bit scattered is because I woke up at 5 a.m. today. Shocker. I usually wake up at 6, but I'm not gonna lie, lately my routine drifted back to like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. wake up. Because I don't know, I feel like there's just been going on a lot in my life and I have a very like easy morning schedule. I like taking my morning easy. But I listened to a Mel Robbins podcast yesterday. And yesterday was probably one of the lowest emotional points for me in a while. To paint the picture for you. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Sunday, I have a Hollywood edition. Okay, I have an edition for a feature film in Hollywood, which is like, feel free to watch my little vlog on that on my Instagram and on my TikTok and on my YouTube Shorts. And I want to be posting a YouTube vlog on it with like if I got cast or not soon. So expect to see that sometime in the near future. Even if I find out if I got cast, I'm honestly gonna take this as a rule of a month maybe. If I don't hear back within a month, I assume I'm not cast. I'll even do like a week because I don't know. Anyway, so and what's funny with that is I submitted my original self-tape for that audition 7 months ago. And they got back to me like 2 weeks ago, be like, hey, like we were on strike, we had to pause the process. Would you want to come in for a callback? And I'm like, oh, this is my first official serious callback. And mind you, I'm out of my acting era. Something about me is it seems like maybe if you know me from social media that I'm very consistent, like disciplined, and of course I am. But by nature, I'm not a consistent person. I could not be farther from consistency just by nature. Okay, I'm just not that kind of person. I usually work in waves. I have a creativity wave. I write it. It drops. It flops. Okay. I have an emotional wave, like where I feel I'm on top of the world, and then it crashes an X amount of time later. I just know how to deal with it, I do my best to do so. So I work in waves. So for my acting era, I just was not really focusing on that right now. But obviously with my business and with my work, I am very consistent because it's my livelihood. It's like my impact. How could I not be? But with everything else, pretty much, I don't know. I'm just interested in something and I pursue it and then I'm just not as much. So my focus lessens and then I can always come back to it. Right. So the opportunity was kind of crazy. And that kind of goes as far as to say that sometimes the best opportunities come out kind of out of nowhere. You just have to create opportunities and then just forget about them. Because I'm not gonna lie, with this project, I completely forgot about it. Like it was not in my mind in the slightest. But I remember liking the role. So I was like, huh. And with this callback, just watch the vlog. But it was very interesting. I feel like I learned a lot. My scene partner is actually the casting director. I thought it was going to be a chemistry lead, which is where you read, which is where you read with a fellow lead, because I was auditioning for a lead role, but it was just the casting director there and like the director there. So I was like, okay, okay. So me and my boyfriend come in because I went to LA with him because that part of town was very much ghetto, and I was not about to go there alone. So I went together, parked in the street, like walked in, and it's just us and like the casting director and the director. I'm like, oh, like, is anyone else gonna come? And they're like, no, just you right now. I'm like, okay, cool, amazing. Because sometimes for those auditions, as far as I know, the auditions have been in by 11, 12-year-old acting self. You'll wait for hours sometimes to just get called in. And we had a whole LA day trip planned, and I wanted to make sure that we got on time for that. So I just kind of did 2 takes. After the first one, she was like, okay, can you do it angry the second time, like towards the end? Because it's a pretty emotional scene. And here's the thing. I originally interpreted that scene as more of emotional, dramatic, like teardrop, because it says she drops a tear. I didn't know that was out of anger. When I'm angry, I do not become confrontational. When I'm angry, I just go back within myself. Like I become quiet, very distant and avoidant. I want to run away when I'm angry. I do not want to face things head on when I'm angry. So I don't know. Afterwards we came out and then obviously my boyfriend's very supportive, but he was like, maybe like personality wise, you're just not the best fit for this role. And I was like, you know what? Maybe. So when am I going to find out about the callback? I have no idea. Because at the end they're like, oh, so do you have any questions? And I was like, no. Girl, you should ask. Like, when can I expect to hear back? But truth is, I've never really done like a single interview for a traditional job, like anything corporate, obviously, because I've never worked in corporate. I've always worked for myself, even when I was like back in my babysitting days when I was like 15. But I've never done that, so I really have no experience with it, which is really funny. But I've done interviews, obviously, for other things, for more of like creative projects. But it just, I don't know, that question just never came about. And he was like, "Have you never done an interview before?" And I was like, "Sis, you know me. Like, what's up? Of course I haven't." Anyway, so that's my Hollywood edition. I was very extremely stressed beforehand. And by stressed, I mean so nervous to the point where, oh my God, after that, so the audition was on Sunday, okay? Sunday night, I could not fall asleep because I was having the most intense stomach stress pains ever. And mind you, before that, for like about 40 hours, I was the biggest, I'm sorry, BITCH and CUNT. I really love the C word. I feel like I never say it. I don't really curse in social media, but like I was cunty, okay? She was a cunt. She was just a big cunt. No way to describe it. I apologize for viewer discretion. But it was pretty bad. And I feel like there was like nothing I could do about it. I don't know. I tried to contain it the best I could, but like, sorry to the people that were around me. I tried. But it happens when I'm nervous or when I have something big coming up, which I'm sure you can relate to because it's always like, I don't know. When there's just something big, it's just like, okay, you know, you just kind of want to hide and run. And sometimes you just act in ways you're not proud of. And then, yeah, Sunday night, I had the biggest stomach stress pains. I've gotten them before. If you've been following me for a while, you know Powerhouse 31 Challenge, which was, I think, 3 years ago from this day. I don't know. It was like becoming a powerhouse in 31 days. And like I had a crazy schedule. And the amount of work I was doing for it while being still full-time in school, like doing a bunch of things, like it gave me the biggest stomach stress pains because I was sleeping 4 to 5 hours a night. And even weekends too, because I just had so much work for that challenge. So yeah, that's the teases. That's the teases. With the stuff stomach pains, I'll tell you it's not really fun. It just feels like my diaphragm on the top is like being squeezed. And by being squeezed, I don't mean like, oh, like, you know, nice little squeeze. No, like it feels like the way I described it to my mom, because I was on the phone with her, like bawling, being like, Mom, I don't know what to do. Like I really don't feel well. Is if you imagine a water bottle, like a thick hydro flask, okay, Stanley cup, but like a little bit wider, so hydro flask, the biggest 64-ounce hydro flask, or Yeti, whatever you use. It's funny how water bottles are trending, huh? It's a water bottle. Why is it trending anyway? If you imagine that being slowly sunk into like a little bit below your ribs, like your higher abs, and slowly sunk, like not in a cute way where it just kind of goes like back and forth, where it just consistently keeps going. It's such a deep and constant pain that just does not stop, and I could not fall asleep. I was sleeping next to my BF, and I just like when I say I was sleeping next to my BF, I mean I was like going like, and he was trying to fall asleep, like comfort me because I was like, there's no way. I had to go out in the balcony and get some fresh air because I was like, my goodness. So it was not a fun time, not jolly at all. The next morning, though, hear me out. I wake up. I got like 11. No, that's a lie. 9 hours of sleep. Okay, a good 9 hours of sleep, solid. I wake up the next morning, and I'm like, okay, like I don't know. I feel like just my day's not really going well. You know, when you wake up and it's kind of late, and you're just like, ugh, I feel like I'm not on top of it. And I went to go to the gym, but I was like, you know, maybe I should take it easy because my stomach was in such horrific pains. Like, I don't think I should be doing anything crazy, you know. And I wake up and just emotionally, I am not there. And when I say I'm not there, I mean I am like done. I just start bawling, crying because I had a piano lesson that same morning, and I had to go to my piano lesson and drive to it. And I was like, should I cancel last minute? He can just take my money. Like, I don't. I don't care about the refund. Like, I just do not want to do it. And my boyfriend, the sweet soul he is, he was like, oh, like, Vera, maybe you should just like quit piano permanently. It just seems like you're really burnt out. Like, do you ever take PTO? And I was like, PTO? What are you talking about? He said, oh, personal time off. Like, I'm trying to plan my for the quarter, because he works a corporate job. He's a software engineer. Oh, I'm like, okay, my mom just texted me. She sent me a YouTube video. So cute. I was just talking about my mom. Anyway, he said, do you ever take personal time off? And I was like, I almost said his name, but sure, what is personal time off? Like, I work for myself. What do you mean personal time off? And he said, well, like, you just needed to fully relax. And I was like, yeah, what am I going to do for a week if I'm not working? Like, be so for real. Because my work isn't like, okay, I wake up, like, I go to my work and then I have a fun life. For me, my work is my hobby. Like, social media, love it. I've been doing it for free for like 8 years of my life before I started earning anything from it. So, like, it's more than just work, And I was like, oh, so what would I do for a week? And he was like, well, maybe you can learn like a new instrument or pick up a new hobby or like watch a new show. I was like, okay, but that's not going to take me a week. Even if I were to fill my whole day with like music, I feel like I'd get like okay, but like, am I working towards my business? Like, what am I doing? I don't know. That thought just really stressed me out. So I knew he was not the right person to go to for this, because he has his own approaches. Very like Californian. And I'm obviously, as you can hear, Russian. So I have slightly of a different mindset. I grew up with a very different mindset. Primarily with my dad, because he's kind of like crazy in a very good way sometimes. Like, so I had to text my sister. I texted Sasha, Alexandra. I was like, hey sis, like, I don't really want to go to piano. What should I do? And she says, Vera, if you don't go, who are you going to be in 2 years? Be so for real. You used to run in the dark even when you didn't want to. You used to wake up early even when it was hard. Where are you at right now? And I went, ooh. Got up immediately. I was still bawling. It was still not a good time, okay? But I knew that it would make me feel a lot better. Because honestly, here's the thing. When you're feeling really tired and when you're really just drained, the best thing you can do is do something. It's extremely controversial, okay? And it may sound kind of crazy, but the best thing you can do is actually do something. Because when you're tired, when you're bored, if you do nothing, then I feel like that just feeds into that feeling of not doing anything. And you feel more guilty for it. You feel like you're not really doing much. But the best way to rest is either physical, okay, so going out, moving your body. It can be social, like hang out with your friends, hang out with people you love, so forth and so on. It can be spiritual, like meditating. It can be emotional. But point is, rest is when you do something. It's not when you do nothing. And this is my personal philosophy, okay? You may not align with it, but personally, I found it to be true. Because in those moments, like I was Monday morning, pretty horrific. And I think also a big part of that wasn't just because I was like, oh, piano. No, it was just because I was so stressed about the audition. And honestly, the past few weeks have been pretty stressful. Is that it just really took a toll on my body. Because when I say, like, logically I knew it was dumb. I was like, Vera, why are you crying? Like, be so for real. It's a beautiful Monday morning. It's raining. You love the rain. But emotionally, I just could not stop it. It's like when you're having a mental breakdown and you just can't help it. Like, you just have to let it pass. So that's what I did. So point is, with rest, it's very important to do something so that way you can channel that crazy energy. Because I feel like if you don't, then you're just kind of in that like weird in between spot. Like, okay, so I guess I have to rest now, but like I feel pretty horrible. So point is, I drove to my piano lesson. I was bawling. Oh, but before that, hear me out. Before that, I remembered that I did not park at the parking garage. I parked in like a park nearby, and it was pouring rain, and he was in a meeting. I feel like we should come up with like a nickname for him. Drop suggestions below this podcast episode, whether that be YouTube channel or on Spotify. I don't think he listens to my like full podcasts. He listens to some selectively. So this is kind of perfect. But let's come up with a nickname for my boyfriend. So that way I don't have to say boyfriend, because I feel like that's also very cunty, for lack of a better word. It's like my BF. Like my BF. I don't like that. I don't know. It just makes me feel like bitchy. I don't like that. Those are my two favorite words. I never curse. But I don't know. There's just no, it's like pop culture. It's not like me cursing. It's like pop culture. I don't know. Weird. Anyway, I had to walk in the pouring rain to my car. And I posted a TikTok about it. And somebody was like, oh, influencer problems. Like, you should appreciate what you have. Some people don't have a car. And I was like, yes, of course. Like, I'm beyond grateful. Mind you, I still within myself, I feel the gratitude. Like, I'm beyond grateful, beyond lucky, beyond blessed. But like, it was still a pretty bad day, you know? So I drove to my piano lesson, did the piano lesson. I was still feeling pretty afterwards. Then I had a mentorship session, which brings me to a point where Creator Camp 1.1 is ending. We are having our last meeting this Saturday, and my mentorship group 2 is ending. From this point onwards, I don't think for social media I'm going to be doing mentorships group formats, unless it just aligns that way. I feel like for groups it's going to be more like group coaching, just like fun for me. But yeah, I'm really excited for the new wave of mentorships, like mentorship clients. I think it'll be really cool and exciting. I really love individualized support and like those one-on-one sessions is really where you get to see and make the improvements. And mind you, with the mentorship too, we had weekly mastermind sessions and obviously one-on-ones with me, and like I was on chat the whole time there. And the sweetest thing happened during our final mastermind session with mentorship group 2 is Amy, one of the coaches, one of the creators. She goes, Vera, I just want to say thank you so much for being such an amazing coach and just for genuinely caring about everybody, like actually caring. And I was like, oh, this is my biggest goal all along, honestly. I feel like with social media, honestly, with any coaches, like sometimes they just like don't really care. It's like, oh, like do this, do that, but like they're not there for you. And I always aim to be the kind of coach who is like the kind of person who is not only guiding you strategically, like, oh, do this, do that, that, but a person who also listens to you, which obviously like that's exactly how we create our strategy for you, listens to you, but also just cares. Like a lot of things I do not mention. Like, for example, for starting a membership, I did not mention that I was going to be responding on the weekends, like all day, every day. But I do that. Why? Because I care and because I can. So I don't know. I just really love mentorship. I love working with creators, with Camp too. Camp is a program. It's a course, but we made it into a program because we have weekly meetings, or we had, where you learn how to create engaging videos that actually work with the algorithm to grow and then later to monetize social media. So that's really exciting. Maybe I'll talk about it more in the podcast episode, but it's definitely on @VeraTheCoach on Instagram. So watch those results there. So that's kind of what's been happening in my life. Oh, which brings me to, yeah. So I forgot where I was going with that. Monday was pretty horrible, right? And then I had a facial. I had a Hollywood facial, which is funny. Like, should I take it for a sign that maybe the feature film thing's gonna happen? I don't know. But point is, coincidentally, it was a Hollywood facial with an amazing esthetician. Honestly, one of the best. Like, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see how amazing my skin looks, and it truly looks amazing, and it feels really good. I'm gonna share it on my stories in a couple days. I just want to make sure that my skin fully calms down and looks amazing. So that way I can testify to results accurately. But I had that, and it made me feel a lot better. I just love facials; they're so relaxing. It's to me, it's one of my highest forms of self care when I'm treating myself. Not just like, oh, I'm working out, but when I'm treating myself, it's like, hey Vera, here's a little treat. That and massages, to die for. Like, would not want anything else. And trips, obviously, but trips, I don't know. I don't really treat myself with. Trips is like when I'm like, okay, like I'm dying to go, let's go, or spontaneous, but nothing in between. And I was listening to a Mel Robbins podcast on the way back because it was in Newport Beach, which is like 30 minutes away from me, 20, I don't know. Traffic, so 30, 35, and raining, so 30, 35. And I was listening to Mel Robbins on the way back, and she just knocks the sense into me. She was talking about morning routine, like the importance of it. So I was like, you know what? I'm creating my billionaire morning routine, okay? Billionaire morning routine. What does that mean? Waking up at 5 a.m., okay, 5:10. I'm already working for a first hour, doing the things that I typically would not do, such as working on my website. I've been procrastinating that for literally 2 months. I don't want to hire anyone for it because I'm like, I can do it better. But me doing it better, I'm like, I don't want to do it, you know? But I started and it's really fun. I love making websites. All the websites I have, I've made on my own. Like nobody has helped me out with that. And my experience with hiring someone has just been like me having to do everything for them and like paying them at the end, which makes no sense. So I'd just rather do it by myself. So just doing that for an hour and then obviously going to the gym. And while I'm in the gym, because a lot of my work is from my phone, when I need to work, I just go on the treadmill, like incline. Today I was on the treadmill for an hour because I was just like doing stories and editing and so forth and so on, which is all part of the job, which is pretty amazing. I really love that. It's like a walking desk, but at the gym. So I was at the gym for 3 hours, I think, because that's also doing my little visualization practice, meditation practice. But not gonna lie, I only have energy right now because I'm recording a podcast and that's what I love to do. But I was not feeling pretty energetic like 20 minutes ago. I don't know if I'm going to keep up with the 5 a.m. because for that you need to be in bed by 8:30 and it's 8:49 and we have not divin? I don't know. We haven't dived into the episode yet. So I don't know how it's going to go. But tomorrow is Coffee Shop Wednesday, which I'm excited about. It's when me and my BF, see why I need a nickname now? Because I can't just say like BF. Should I say like Secret Man? But he's not secret, just Private Man? Private Ryan? No, that was wrong. Nope. Saving Private Ryan. Nope. It's a war movie. I don't know. But help me come up with a nickname. Please. I just cannot. Oh, should we do like, what's like a male name that starts with a V? Waldorf? Waldorf? Me and Waldorf. Yucky nickname. No, I don't like that. Anyway, help me come up with a name. We go to a new coffee shop every Wednesday, and if he can't make it for whatever reason, because maybe he has a meeting or something, then I go by myself. I love new coffee shops in Orange County. If you need recommendations, just go to my highlights. Okay. Anyway, And today, as part of the updates, I was having a very inspiring business meeting. I was not part of the business meeting. It was actually my, well, I don't know if I can disclose that, but some members of my inner circle, they're meeting with a really cool guy who built a really cool business because they were like wanting to, talk business. And I happened to be there. So I was like, hey guys, mind if I join in? They're like, yeah, of course, sure. So I was just sitting there listening, and it was so inspiring. I just love hearing entrepreneurs talk about their experience and how they made that happen. Even though he's in a completely different niche as I am, nothing social media related, I took away a lot from that. And that kind of got me thinking about mindset and inspired this podcast episode, even though this topic has been in my mind for a week and a half, probably 2 weeks. But truly, life is how you make it. And it sounds crazy. It sounds like, Vera, what are you talking about? But truthfully, it is. So much of our life is mindset, okay? Because I feel like when you have the right mindset, for example, if you're not making enough money, then you go on the interwebs, you do research about how to make the amount of money that you need to be happy, and you start making that money and you start working towards it. Obviously, a lot of this is all of it actually is easier said than done because we've all been in the financial struggle bus. Some of us are still there. I'm not, thankfully. Worked my ass off to get to this point, but we're here now. But yeah, supporting yourself when you like don't have much to support yourself with is a little bit rough. But we've all been there. We've all been there. So point is, a lot of that is mindset, and just hearing people talk about their business and like scale it is so interesting. And also, I wanted to address something. That guy's a multi-millionaire, okay, like dollars, obviously, which is like so inspiring. And actually, there's this thing of mirror neurons. It's a psychological, neurological, scientific concept. But when you're in a room, for example, with highly successful people, your neurons start adapting. Is not going to be the right word. You should read the science behind this on your own because I'm not a scientist. But I like neuroscience. The point is, you start almost mimicking like a person that you're in the same environment with. So when that guy was talking, I fully opened myself up. Like my legs were not crossed, my arms were not crossed. I was just sitting there listening, be like, wow, ask all the questions I wanted to. Like it was pretty amazing. The point is, you always think about like, oh, I'm a multimillionaire. What does that mean? You always think if a person has a multimillionaire business, which I'm gonna get to that point. Like I know for a fact I'm gonna have a 7-figure business, hopefully 8-figure business, and maybe even 9 figures. For me, money is not really at this stage. Of course, like I have my bills covered and so forth and so on. But I know that the further I go down my career path, it's going to be less about how much I have because you can only spend so much on your living expenses. And I'm not like, I don't know, even if I'm living the most lavish life, which I think right now I kind of am. Like I go to a nice gym, I get nice clothes for myself when I need them. Like I go to facials, I go to massages, I invest a lot, like invest high yield savings. But I should probably start doing like the portfolio thing. I don't know. I haven't really gotten into that fully yet. But anyway, so I do that, and it's a pretty lavish life. Like I go to the beach, I go to coffee shops, I hang out with my friends. I don't know, I go to restaurants when I want to. But like, what more do I need, really? Like, okay, I move into a nicer place. Okay, that's more thousands per month. Oh shit, sure. I get a better car. Okay, but like, what else? Trips, maybe? I don't know. The point is, with living, there's only so much money that you can spend. Being completely honest with yourself, everything else is more like business. And I feel like people have this misconception about millionaires, about how if you have $1 million business, that means like every month it's steadily increasing, blah blah. With this guy, for the first 3 months, he had no money because he got an investor to pitch in to help him start his business. Right, he had no money. It was like burning through it. He had the employees, but he was not making any cash, and he was actually pretty close to like shutting down and having no money until month 5. He makes 500K, and then the next month, month 6, he makes 400K, and then he makes more, and then he makes more, and then it drops again, drops for a few months, and then he makes it again. So do you understand? A lot of people have this concept of like, oh, if you're a millionaire, then you just make so much consistently. That's not true at all. Especially for, oh, this is my hatch. Do you hear this? My hatch is my alarm. I got it for Christmas from my BF. It helps me sleep very soundly. Let me turn this off real quick. But it's like a nice little ocean sound. I could keep it on maybe for ambiance. So I don't know. Should I? Should I? Do you want to fall asleep to this right now? Okay, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Just kidding. No, let me turn this on. Let me turn this off. My alarm is set for 5 a.m. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to be waking up at 5. I can just do that work later because, my goodness, a little bit crazy with that. Okay. Oh my gosh, these are my sleeping waves. Hold on. That's so funny. I feel like it's very spur of the moment. I really love not cutting these podcasts because then it just feels like my brain, like everything I want to share is just in one. I just think it's really funny. It's like hanging out with a friend, like literally on FaceTime, because I'm not cutting any of this out. Anyway, that was my alarm. Don't worry about it. Definitely not waking up at 5. Anyway, so with millionaires, another concept is misconception that a lot of people have is that, oh, if you're a millionaire, then you just have like $1 million sitting in the bank. No, no. I think everybody goes through the financial struggle bus, okay? And when you're a millionaire, obviously, it's a lot easier to be smart about it, because I'm not gonna lie, but hear me out. I live in Southern California, okay? Taxes are high, like 20 to 30%, which I know is higher in some places. I am complaining. I hate, like, taxes, come on. Who likes taxes? But those are the certainties of life. Death and taxes. Beautiful quote. Anyway, so what's funny is you can make like an X amount of money and say that's like your whole living expense and you're already living at a minimum and then you still have to pay taxes. Like, where do you get that money from? You have to take out a loan. It's not great. So obviously as a millionaire, like, you have the money to pay those taxes and to take care of your finances responsibly. But still, sometimes if you're not super responsible with it, there comes a point where you just like run out, and then you have to wait until you make more and then you can do things again. But I just think it's really interesting how a lot of people think that, oh, when you have a business, you just have like $1 million sitting in the bank. You don't. Nope, you really don't. That's not very smart to do. But yeah, it was a really inspiring business meeting. I'm so glad that I got to hear about it. Okay, so that was my life updates. Regarding what else is happening, nothing really exciting. I feel like right now this area of my life is just about becoming more like focused and honed in, because I set myself a goal. Maybe you've heard about it like 2 episodes ago, of scrolling less on TikTok because I noticed my screen time in the beginning of December was like 4 hours a day. And I was like, what? Like, what am I doing with my time? I have work to do. I have impact to make. I have money to make. I have money to bank. Like, what is this? So I stopped. And right now I spend a very reasonable amount of time on it, actually. Today also, for dinner, I cooked a really nice meal, and I hate cooking and I'm horrible at it, but I tried a recipe, Tuscany chicken. It was pretty good. So yeah, just a cool area of my life. Very nice Vera era. Absolutely love my morning routine, even without the 5 a.m. because I still go to the gym. Like, I do my thing. I shower at the gym. Like, it's just so nice. I just love my life. Anyway, so let's talk about mindset. I feel like a lot of this has been about mindset already. But with not liking where you are right now, why it's so important to find ways to like it is because if you treat every single area of your life as a transitionary period, you're going to end up waiting your life away, waiting for something bigger, waiting until you're happier, waiting until you're successful, waiting until you're smarter. But you never actually pause and remember that where you are right now is where you used to pray for, where you used to visualize and dream about. That's where you are right now. And instead, you just go around chasing this idea of happiness or success or joy that who knows how far away it is. Happiness is not the end of the road. Happiness is what you're creating right now. And this goes for pretty much everything. Same for success, same for love, same for joy. Obviously, it looks different at different points in your life. For example, right now, success to you may look like being able to live in a nice apartment with a nice car, right? Success to you 15 years from now may look like taking your kids to the coolest after school activities and living in your 19-story mansion in Malibu. I don't know. Maybe that's happiness to you then. Your definition changes, but point is, it's very important to take a moment and find those ways to be happy and successful and loving and loved in the moment. Otherwise, you literally end up waiting and wasting your whole life away. Here are my biggest examples from my personal life. I have undergone a pretty traumatic fitness transformation. You can listen to a whole podcast episode about this, how it transformed my body. I think it's what it's called. A really nice episode, obviously. Have not listened to it since, so honestly, I cannot testify, but I'm sure it was great. If you like this format, you're probably going to like that one. Maybe that one's a little bit more structured. Today, I just feel like I'm like in the flow. Just hanging out with my besties. Just hanging out with Gen V. But yeah, with that transformation, I feel like I've undergone it, and like my body was significantly different. Like, I just felt better. But I was so happy after. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I look like this. Like, it was like, for me, it was like the biggest confidence boost. Because not only do I look like that, but the fact that I made that happen, And for the longest time, I just thought, oh, there's no way. Like, my body just kind of, like, I have bad genetics, whatever. I dismissed it and I made excuses, which is never a good thing to do. But I did that. And then some time passed. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe I should lose weight, like more weight. And I was like, hold on, where's this coming from? Point is, there came a point where I wasn't just as happy within my body anymore because I didn't take a moment to note where I actually was and how much progress I made. That's why it's so important. Because I feel like Honestly, let me tell you this, friend. You have no idea how far you've come. It may seem like you've made no progress, but I know that that's a flat out lie that you're telling yourself. Because if you think to yourself a year from now, even if your life looks pretty similar, like you have the similar routine, think about where you are mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, how much more you know about the world, how many more people you've met, how many more cool things you've done. And even if they weren't cool things that you consider cool, how many books have you read? How many movies have you watched? How much things did you consume? How many songs have you listened to? That's all progress and that's all super cool. How many workouts did you do? Even if that was 3 within a year, that's 3 more. 3 is better than 0, okay? So, I don't know. I feel like we just never really take that moment to pause and think about how far we've come. Second is oh my god, I feel like this is like embarrassing at this point. But I feel like I talk a lot about relationships and it's the reason why, and I can't just the stories. Girls in love. Oh my god. Okay. But I feel like I just have to say it because for the longest time I dreamed about being in a long-term relationship. Okay. After my last breakup, I genuinely thought that there was not going to be anyone serious for like 5 to 7 more years. For real. For real. I was like, you know what? This is a grind era. Time to grow my business to really like scale up and grind. Like I was crazy. I was waking up at 4 a.m. that should tell you enough. And then recently I caught myself thinking like, okay, this is gonna sound, I don't know, should I even say, I don't know. Okay, hear me out. And when I was single as a Pringle, and when I was in my Grancy era, I would talk to my mom about these things, but honestly, like as soon as I say it to my mom, I feel like I just have to air it out. I just forget it. Okay, my mom is my favorite non-licensed therapist. I do not use my mom as a therapist, guys. Anyway, I was like, what if I end up single? Like, what if that's there all is to it? Like, what if like I don't create a life with anyone? Funny thing to say with like a young girl, a young woman, like, girl, you're not even 35 yet. Like, calm down, sit your ass down. Anyway, so I said that to my mom, and she was like, Vera, like, you're young, just no comment, you know? I was like, okay, I'm probably being dramatic. And by the way, I've been dramatic. Okay, this is not new at all. I found a picture from when I was 12 years old, being like, laughing at my life. Haha, what a joke. And it was like me crying. I've been this way. Are you only discovering this now? I've been dramatic. I always will be. I'm honestly one of the most dramatic people probably anyone has ever met. I just am. Like, I've always been a drama queen. I just am. And then I caught myself recently, like, thinking about my relationship trajectory. And obviously, I'm not the kind of person that really plans relationship wise, because, like, you never know. I don't want to get married for at least, I don't know, but maybe like 7 years, at least 5. All right, at least 5. Okay, 4 years minimum, because like marriage and like I don't know, like moving in together and family, like it's just all very close. And for me, that's just not where I am right now. Maybe a year from now, I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, marriage, like put that ring on my finger, king. But it's just not really me, as far as I know. Okay, that may change. And with starting a family too, like I want to do it. Of course, I'm so excited, but like that's later. Right now, it's not at the forefront of my mind, you know. Even though I had a dream, I had a dream that I was like pregnant, and I wanted to get pregnant, and I was like, oh my gosh, I woke up, it was so real. I was confused. I did not like that dream. I was like, too soon. Oh my gosh, please. Wipe that from my memory. And then I caught myself thinking not too long ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. I was talking to my mom and I was like, Mom, like obviously I'm with my boyfriend right now. Please come up with a nickname. I just cannot keep saying boyfriend. It's gonna be literally the Q&A, like not what you thought about this episode. Actually, yeah, that. But also like, what nickname should we do? And I was like, what if like that's all that there is to it? Like, what if I have no other experience outside of this, which did not come from like a hateful place at all. It may sound like it did, like it may sound kind of weird, but no, it didn't. It was just more of like, what if I do not experience any love outside of this one? Like, what if I get another experience? Because I feel like in dating culture, it's such a prevalent thing of like, oh, okay, we have to break up to like get more experience. And I was actually, we had my partner switching it up, and we had a whole conversation about it where I was like, you know what, like I feel like I just don't really have a relationship baseline. Like I don't really know how relationships are really supposed to go, like when they're like healthy and like long term, you know? And then I just kind of realized that you never really know because everyone is so different. It's same with friendships. Like, how do you know how friendships are supposed to go? I don't know. You'll never know. Even if you have 100 friends, you just never know unless they all follow the same cycle. So I said that to my mom, and she's like, Vera, you told me the same exact thing when you were in a relationship. And that's what you wanted, right? Like a long-term stable relationship. And I was like, yes, hold on. That is what I wanted. So the point is that did not come from a hateful place at all. If you're my partner listening to this, don't. It's private. It's between me and Gen V. You have nothing to do with this. Just kidding. But Point is, sometimes I feel like we just start taking things for granted, and it's a very natural psychological thing. Okay, so it's kind of like when you're in a long-term relationship, you have to make an effort to put the spark back into it, to make the flame burn brighter. But same goes with your life. If you feel bored of things, whether that be your morning routine or your night routine, find ways to make it more exciting for yourself, even if it's simple, even if it's kind of boring, but make and find those ways. Otherwise, you're really going to struggle, and then you're going to be like, oh, I hate my life. You don't. You're just tired and sick of your routine. So find ways to spice it up. Because if you don't, then who will? Right? Right? Am I right? I know I am. So, yeah, but the relationship was actually very interesting. And after that, like after I had that thought and I voiced it to my mom, I just like I don't know. Sometimes I just have a stream of consciousness and I just voice it to people I love. So I just paused and I was like, hold on, like I actually this is my dream relationship. Like I would not want anything more in a partner. I wouldn't want anything less. Like it's just perfect. And I feel like he's the kind of person that I can grow and evolve with. And I'm just so curious to see what happens next. But also I'm not like awaiting it. I just really enjoy being in the moment. Like I love everything about us, you know? Like it's really nice. Who knows where it's gonna be in a month? Well, I mean, I think I know, but who knows where it's gonna be like a year? You never really know. Even though you may be like, oh my gosh, like this is the first time getting married to. Like this is him, this is her. You never know. Okay, so I never try to have those things in my head ever. Like I feel like it's so easy to romanticize, especially with who you're with. To be like, oh my gosh, put that ring on my finger. Okay, yes, it's like we're gonna have 2 cute kids. It's gonna be Jenny and Bob. It's so easy to do that, but I never allow myself to slip into that place. Even with work, it's a little different because I feel like it's you have to think about the kind of impact they make. But even with my content, for example, because I feel like my content is more fluid than like my business, because business is just more, I don't know, it's more structured. But content, who knows what kind of content I'm going to be creating in a year? I don't know. Maybe I'm just going to do like daily vlogs of my life. Maybe when I have kids, I'm going to become like a mommy blogger. I don't know. Who knows? Who's to say? Point is, you just love it, right? So with relationship too, how we started out and where we are right now, we're kind of different people. And that's great because we've changed and we've evolved. And you just never know where you're going to be. And I think that just such a special part of life to kind of see where you end up just out of curiosity, you know, but not awaiting that moment because you can't wait for things like that. You really can't. Because if you just wait, think about it logically. If you wait right now and you wait tomorrow and you wait the day after that, you've ended up your whole week just waiting. But what happened to your week? It went away and it's not there anymore. So with waiting, I feel like you have to be very careful for it. Obviously, it's great to create excitement in your life. But while you have long-term excitement, like, I'm excited to be a mom one day, you know? It's crazy to say because I feel like, oh, but that's the craziest thing. I've been an adult for like a second now. So I'm like, it's not that far away. If I wanted to have a kid right now, I could. Not with the person I'm with currently, because like, I feel like that's not in his plans for a second. Because like, you know, we're aligned on that. But hypothetically, if I started wanting a kid, like I could have a kid. My mom, I think she had her first daughter pretty much my age. Don't talk to me about that. Oh my god, that's crazy. That is baffling, and I don't know what to think about that. No, actually, she got married like when she was younger than I am. Okay, you do you, queen. Not me though. Yikes! I don't know. It's just crazy to think about. And also, I hear about like my peers getting married, and like, okay, it's really cute. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. It's just very far away. So while I'm excited to be a mom, like to maybe be married one day, I don't know. I'm excited for those things, but I'm not waiting for them because what I am waiting for is nothing. I try really not to wait for anything. With audition, I think I was just very anxious about it, so of course it's easier to wait. But I really try to stay present in the moment, you know? Like right now, am I waiting for tomorrow? I'm excited for it, yeah, because it's Coffee Shop Wednesday. But am I waiting for it actively? No, not really. I'm pretty present in the moment. Also, I feel like this podcast, I hope I wasn't like oversharing. I don't know. I just started to feel randomly very insecure about that because I was just like, ugh. But I like having those little chats with you. Let me know if you like it in the poll below or just comment if you do. But I don't know. I feel like I shared a lot of personal information, but I kind of enjoy that. I don't know. I think there's a lot of strength in vulnerability. A lot of people say, "Oh, if you cry on camera, like you're such a wuss. Oh, if you showcase any weakness, you're such a loser. People are gonna know." But I think it takes a lot of strength to showcase that. So honestly, people who are not afraid to be seen as vulnerable, I think those are the people I respect the most. Me personally. All right. So, how do you transform this mindset of kind of taking things for granted and just not really being happy with anything ever and constantly chasing after things that Once you reach them, you just chase onto the next ones and you never really take time to ground yourself. First is achievement journaling. All right, I've talked about this before and I'm going to talk about it again. Every single night, write down the top 3 things that you did to get closer to your goals. That may be waking up and getting out of bed. That's an achievement, okay? That may be practicing piano. That may be posting your first Instagram reel, which a lot of you have been saying that to me, like, oh my gosh, I posted my first Instagram reel. And I could not be more happy for you and proud of you. I just love that for you. I think it's so amazing. I'm so excited. And send me more when you post, okay? But write down the top 3 things that you did. And then that way, at the end of the week, you'll be able to look at all the things that you did and choose a top one, top memorable. At the end of the month, compile all the ones from the weeks and choose the top one thing that you did. And at the end of the year, choose the top 3 things that you did to get you closer to your goals. Because I feel like we honestly just take it for granted. We're like, oh yeah, like I'm making progress, like I'm doing stuff, but like whatever. But take a moment and applaud yourself for it. Stop and escape this constant chase of achievement, because it's never going to feel fulfilling unless you take a moment, you pause, drop, roll, and just focus on how grateful you are for the progress that you've made to get you to your dream life. Second thing is, I started doing this recently. With all the goals I have for 2024, not only do I have the goal, but I also have the reward. Once I reach that goal, what am I gonna get? For some, I'm not gonna lie, for most things it's like facial. For a lot of things it's like Laguna Coffee Co. I love Laguna Coffee Company. This is not an ad. I love it. It's a little cafe in Laguna Beach, California, obviously Orange County. And I go there like once a month maybe, but it's just so nice. Like, and I never get that just for myself, okay? It's always if I'm with my bestie or with my partner or with my sisters, like with my friends. I don't know. I just never go by myself. So with some goals, I'm like, okay, if I reach this goal, I'm going to go to Laguna Coffee Co. Or I'm going to go to a trip in New York. Or I'm going to go snorkeling in Hawaii, which is on my list. But we have a lot of financial goals this year, so we've got to be smart about it. Anyway, so those are the 2 things about how you can transform your mindset. I feel like this podcast was a lot of babbling, kind of like chatting. Let me know if you like this format. I feel like it was just, things just flowed out of me. Didn't expect for that to happen, but leave this podcast a review. 5 stars, 4 stars, 1 star. I don't care. Just whatever you think. If you're on Apple Podcasts, write a review. If you're on YouTube, just comment what you thought about it. And follow me for more episodes, because new episodes come out every single Wednesday at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And last week I was sick, so there was no episode. And let me know what you thought about the podcast episode. I don't know, I'm just curious, because I'm like, this is new. I feel like, I don't know, lately it's just been much more structured, and I feel like I just talked a lot. And hopefully it just felt like you're on FaceTime with your motivational friend and maybe social media coach, Vera. Alright, enjoy your life, slay, remember we're going to always, and have a slaytastic rest of your day. Bye, I love you.
3, 2, 1. Launch to success with Vera V.